There we go. All right, welcome to episode 35 of the Benzo Rehab Dungeon. My name is Michael Deebs. I am the host. Joining me today is Megan from the Instagram handle at Let's Meg Magic. Is that? Do you want to even advertise your Instagram?
Let's Meg Magic.
Let's Meg Magic. Okay, cool. Danko is late today. I'm not sure what happened with him. Producer John is having some technical issues. So unfortunately he won't be able to make it today. But we'll make this work. Actually, let me check on Dorian. I think I have a. Oh yeah, I have a voicemail from him. Let me pull this up real quick. See what's up with him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Mike, the big dick broadcaster, Deebs. I can't believe you have me say that every time I call you. This is exhausting. I'm not going to be able to. I'm not going to be able to make it tonight. I spent the last 2 days reading this fucking book. I'm sorry if it sounds a little muffled because I've been writing my blankets since I finished, and I'm just having just right now. I need to clean my room, and I don't know what to do. And I'm sorry. I know I have the quota I need to meet, and I know what you're gonna do if I don't do it. But man, I just can't do this anymore, man. I mean, don't share this with anyone, but I'm having a lot of doubts about this whole Benzo Rehab dungeon thing. I think people are going to learn that I don't know how to read, and I'm afraid that after spending 2 days absorbing this book by osmosis, some of the information we have actually gotten into my bloodstream. That's not going to be good for me. I guess, fuck, man. In short, I know that you told me that how you feel about unions, but I took your advice, and I decided that I would join the one union you allowed me to join, the IWW, because what did you call them? Something having to do with there were a few slurs in there, but it was something having to do with the lib dick DSA or something. I don't know, but anyway, I decided to actually involve them, and I quit, man. I quit. I love you because every time I finish a call. All right, I love you.
Well, all right, fuck that guy.
What was that about?
Yeah, I guess he quit.
I just heard that he was cleaning his room and some sort of pathetic sniffling, but I didn't really catch a lot of that.
Oh, he kind of went on about First off, he joined the IWW, which, I kind of forbade him to join a union this whole time because I don't want him to unionize against me on this broadcast. But he did it anyways. And he did join the IWW, which I said out of all of them is probably the best.
Good for you, Danko.
Yeah, and it sounds like he quit the broadcast. So Anyways, I don't know if you're looking to be a co-host of a podcast or anything, but it looks like I have an opening.
I'm not looking to get into anything serious right now.
Oh, shoot. I was going to say this is your probationary period. We have a special guest tonight either way, and I'm a little bit disappointed that Danko won't be joining us for this because I thought he was excited about this. I pulled a lot of strings to get him on the channel, but I think we have him. Let me see. I'm running this alone today, so I got to make sure that. Okay, yeah, we do have him. So I'm gonna bring him on real quick. If we could please welcome to the program, Dr. Jordan Peterson.
Doctor. Hello.
Oh, you're there. Okay, yeah, we can hear you.
Good. I've been a little confused for the last the last few years.
Couple of years, sounds like, yeah.
It's good to be here. What can I? Yes. What would you like to? What's happening?
So we're here with I know you were very interested in talking to Danko, but unfortunately all I have with me is a feminine chaos dragon who goes by the name of Megan. Megan, would you like to say hello to the good doctor?
Hello, Dr. Peterson. It's quite an honor.
Hello, Miss Magick, is it? Are you married?
Mrs. Great.
Well, nobody's perfect.
All right. So we would like to talk to you today about your book. I read it all the way through. Megan is actually a scholar of Harry Potter, I believe she said.
Oh, excellent. You're of course talking about my new book, Beyond Good and Evil: 12 Jazz Funk Greats.
Yeah, that's exactly what. Yeah. Was that the working title before you settled on Beyond Order, or?
That's what I said.
Okay, you're right. I didn't mean to question you like that.
Well, it's the working title was the 10 Commandments, but I've switched it up a little bit over time because I felt as if we needed to mythologize a little bit more instead of working with the literal, because in order to combat with that which stands without order or outside or beyond order, one must engage with chaos and bring in the additional 2 numbers. So the 10 Commandments was never going to work for this. So of course I stuck with Beyond Thunderdome, 12 decadent lobster recipes.
Yeah, no, I seem to have gathered that, and at some point in the book you do mention that God is dead, and I was wondering if maybe those 2 extra rules are because God is dead, and therefore we have surpassed him in some way, and thus need more than just 10 rules, more than just 12 rules actually, because we now have 24 separate rules from you.
Well, all of these were extracted from a list of I believe 48 rules from the reputable question website Quora. So of course you may remember that Quora is of course a misspelling of Korah from the Bible, who eliminated without bloodshed the enemies of his tribe by having them swallowed up by the earth.
I do recall that story. And it is interesting that you bring the Bible up now, because you seem to lean pretty heavily on the Bible in the Beyond Order book.
Of course.
Is there some kind of Christian conversion arc in the Jordan Peterson life, or?
Well, people often ask me if I am in fact a Christian, which to that I have traditionally said, well, if by Christian you mean one who believes in the transcendental logos which exists beyond us and informs us in accumulation between order and chaos, when we are fighting the dragon of chaos in order to appease the logos, in order to become more akin to that logos which exists beyond the feminine, then yes. But if we can't agree on that simple definition, then I would say perhaps not. But I have evolved, and I've changed many of my opinions over time. And as you may notice in the book, I am something of a Christian, but I have a new take on the old traditional myth. Much like how Harry Potter, another very important set of stories to me personally, and to all of my young men, but I have taken it upon myself to revitalize the Christian spirit by considering Pinocchio, who really is a messiah figure for us all.
Megan looks a little bit perplexed by this. Would you like to maybe go into a little bit more detail about why Pinocchio was a messiah figure?
Of course. You see, much like many of the men that come to me, and with the men, I'm sorry.
It's okay if you're still dealing with the effects of withdrawal. We've all been there.
These young men, they come to me and they say, "Daddy, I need you to help me sort out my life because it's chaos and I can't keep the dishes clean and I can't make my bed in the morning and I'm just so depressed at my restaurant job and my schizophrenia is really getting out of control." And I look to them and I say, "Young man, first what you have to do is understand that it is your place in the restaurant. And those people who are above you in the social hierarchy are, of course, there for a reason.
Of course.
Because of serotonin, which we share with the lobsters that you are, of course, cooking in that restaurant. But the way in which this connects to Pinocchio is that every young man wants to become a real boy. A real boy. And just as I have always tried my hardest to become a real boy, and just as was the hero's journey of Jesus Christ, who became through his father a real boy, these young men come to me and they say, Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani, and I say to them, you are absolved of your sins. Now please clean up my plates and then clean your room. And that is exactly how Pinocchio connects to the logos.
Hey, I've been there, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you explaining that for Megan and not me.
Well, the most important thing about all of this is that young men need to rebel. Young men need to rebel. They need to fight with their hands and their teeth and their.
But Dr. Peterson, wouldn't that put them on Donkey Island? Whatever it's called?
Of course, but you need to get to Donkey Island to fight the donkey dragon so you can find your way back into the belly of the whale, and then the belly of the whale will lead you back to your father in heaven.
But what about their restaurant job? Someone needs to serve the lobsters. How are they going to do that if they're on Donkey Island?
I think you're putting words in my mouth, young lady, and I don't appreciate that very much. And this really goes to prove a point that I've made before, which is that men and women have not been working in the same workplace for very long, and we still don't know the rules of it. And when I saw you, I saw a beautiful young woman, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to bank on that. I'm going to bank on her being a beautiful young woman, and instead you're putting words in my mouth.
Well, it would please you to know, Daddy, can I call you Daddy?
Please, thank you.
It would please you to know that since I was rejected from Hogwarts, and I was very sad about that, I actually enrolled in the Academy of Tradwifery, and I am majoring in becoming a crisis actor. So I think that I'm there's more to me than meets the eye.
Speaking of crisis actor, I think now is maybe a good time to bring up that the relationship that Megan and I have is purely business. I've been asked several times to have a woman on the show, and the problem is that I don't have any.
Someday.
Yeah, I don't know any women in my real life, so I hired Megan. So I apologize, Dr. Peterson, if she's being a little bit rude to you. I don't really know her aside from the contract that we made.
Rude. I would use the word uppity, perhaps.
Okay, yeah, that's a term that hasn't been used in a while, and I'm glad that you're bringing that back. So I think when we're talking about your book, it's best to go in sequential order. Obviously, this is a book of rules, and sequence is highly important. You start out the book with I guess there's a COVID related sort of preface, right?
Mm-hmm.
That just goes into why you decided to make this rule or this book of rules kind of separate of the COVID crisis, because you want it to be a more lasting work, which I understand.
Of course, because you see, a while ago I was forced to on video and on stage to fight a raccoon, and I've been informed that this raccoon has gone on to publish at least one book about COVID itself, and I think that is it's taking advantage of these young men.
And this raccoon that you're talking about is, of course, Slavoj Zizek.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, yeah. I just wanted to make sure that we were on the same page there. I believe he actually does prefer to be called a raccoon, or maybe
that's
nothing at all.
That's what he told me.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of the same mannerisms too, so the parallels are there. And so after your preface, you go into what you call an overture. Would you like to explain the reasoning behind choosing the term overture for what is essentially a preface part 2?
Well, the reason I chose the term overture is twofold, really. So when I decided to write this book, when I first sat down to write Beyond Meat, 12 ways to make your man bust ropes, I realized that I had ran into some problems. And the first of which was that I was in a psychedelic haze.
From apple cider vinegar?
That is what I think caused it.
So
the news has made other claims.
In order to avoid you having to go through this again, I've actually queued up a video where you're talking about this event. And I don't want to reignite that trauma in your life. I know that you've worked very hard to get to a place where you're at. So if we could just watch this video real quick, and maybe you can comment on it afterwards.
And this is really this feels dishonest. This feels like some kind of gotcha thing. You're trying to corner me with this.
No, I would never do that to you. I will note that this video was picked out by producer John, who wasn't with us due to technical difficulties. So I apologize if it's not very respectful to you, but I believe it tells your story. I haven't really watched it myself, but I have faith in producer John. He's also reading your book.
I'll accept this, but only if I can point out that there are two non-contradicting pieces of advice from my book that I would like to bring up as we lead into this. First is do not do what you hate.
Yeah.
And,
okay. Yeah.
Do not hide unwanted things in the fog. And so, of course,
those are both real rules that you have in your book.
Indeed, Rule 5 and Rule 3. And I hate this, but I can't possibly hide the pest in the fog. And of course, as I say in Rule 9, if old memories still if old memories still upset you, write them down carefully,
yes.
and completely. And so I've written down this Joe Rogan interview quite a few times.
Okay, well, I'm sorry to reignite that, but I think it's good to kind of see this
Both
this...
Michaela and I know.
Listen to reason, you people.
All right, we're gonna play the clip now, Doctor. If we could just have a little bit of silence.
Do not allow yourself to become resentful, deceitful, or arrogant.
That when we restricted our diet and then ate something we weren't supposed to, the reaction to eating what we weren't supposed to was absolutely catastrophic.
What did you do? What did you switch to? Or what did you eat, rather?
Well, the worst response, I think we're allergic to, or allergic, whatever the hell this is, having an inflammatory response to something called sulfites. And we had some apple cider that had sulfites in it, and that was really not good. Like, I was done for a month. That was the first time I talked to Sam Harris.
You were done for a month?
Oh, yeah. It took me out for a month. It was awful.
Really?
Yeah. So I would say, look.
So this is right before this whole truth conversation with Sam Harris that got stuck in the mud. During.
So I think the day I talked to Sam was like the worst day of my life. Not because of talking to Sam, but it was
just physically.
Oh, Jesus, I was so dead. But I didn't want to not do it.
Apple cider, like what was it doing?
Sulfites in it.
What was it doing to you?
Oh, it produced an overwhelming sense of impending doom. And I seriously been overwhelming. Like, there's no way I could have lived like that if that would have lasted for... See, Michaela knew by that point that it would probably only last a month, and I was like...
A month?
Yeah,
from
a month.
Fucking cider?
Oh, I didn't sleep that month. I didn't sleep for 25 days. I didn't sleep at all. I didn't sleep at all for 25 days.
How is that possible?
I'll tell you how it's possible. You lay in bed, frozen in something approximating terror for 8 hours, and then you get up.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. Not
and
good.
This is from fucking cider. From cider.
That's what we thought, yeah. I mean, look, again, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
Okay.
Hey, when they say with the mother, they're not kidding.
Obviously, I believe you refer to it as a food sensitivity that you have.
Of course. Many people have them. Most people are allergic to almost everything.
Yeah. Let's see.
I have a question for the host.
Yes.
Deebs. Did you receive this book as promotional material, or did you purchase it with your own money?
I achieved it through very legal means.
You see, I received a message from Danko Bruson, and he told me that he had stolen the book from the internet in order to take steak out of Michaela's mouth. And I'm glad to see that you did not, in fact, do that same thing.
No, I would never do that to you. I believe that your first rule actually is do not carelessly denigrate social institutions or creative achievement, and I would never carelessly denigrate the creative achievement of your new book, Beyond Order.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Now, really quickly, per the Jim Rothkin interview, I do want to explain, because people have, of course, pointed out that it's unusual for a man to spend 25 days without sleep, and I would just say that over time you develop a what's called a sleep debt, and so at a certain point I was able to catch up on the sleep. I just had to do so in a hospital setting in the Caucasus Mountains.
Yeah, so that's the next part of this overture is the explanation of how you fell into this.
I feel much better now.
I'm glad to hear that. The explanation, and I will say that your not only is the reason that you got hooked on benzodiazepine unusual, the way that you got out of it was a little bit unusual as well, in that it required moving to 4 separate countries.
Well, this kind of thing is necessary sometimes, because I was not in fact aware that benzodiazepines are in fact a dangerous drug. You see, I've been a clinical psychologist for a few decades now, but it never occurred to me during the I think about 4 years of increasing benzodiazepine dosages that it would ever possibly be dangerous. And so when I did try to stop cold turkey, it did not go as well as I expected, being again a clinical psychologist who knows nothing about anything of that sort. Of course,
you've got no business knowing anything about
no
psychoactive drugs or
and the
anything
regulatory bodies are probably much different in Canada than they are in the US.
Of course, much more strict because they're constantly trying to compel speech. They're trying
I was going to say that the regulatory bodies can go a lot of ways there, and that they're regulating, the bodies of young children to be trans, right?
Exactly. Which I've learned recently that one of the primary uses of benzodiazepines is to induce higher levels of masculinity in men. It causes what is colloquially known as autism, which of course makes men substantially more masculine than they would be otherwise.
It is
which
a
I've noticed
uniquely
in the people
male.
that have come to me.
It is a uniquely male condition, isn't it?
It is. Well, it takes a certain type of man to wake up in the morning and decide to as I said in the book, to imagine who you could be and then aim single-mindedly at that, as if one were say a tank engine of some sort.
Right, and so that's oh, which rule is that? That's rule
That's rule 2.
Rule 2, yes. I skipped it because I thought it was a little bit later in the book.
Oh no, it's very important.
You seem to return to the single-mindedness, and I would say that, and not to say this is a bad thing, but there seems to be a single-mindedness in this book. One of the things that you say later
Harry
on.
Potter.
Yeah, you do reference Harry Potter quite a lot, which was surprising to me. I wasn't aware that Harry Potter was such a deep literary work. Do you reference a lot of young adult novels in your research? Is that something that you look into a lot?
Of course. You see, during my academic training, I wrote a thesis studying the effects of alcohol and alcoholism on people with experiences with trauma, of course, which led me directly, as a kind of natural trajectory, to focus on things like misgendering, as they call it, and where we can find the soul of Voldemort, which of course is hidden in the Golden Snitch.
Is that correct, Megan? As a Harry Potter scholar.
Legend has it that the Golden Snitch does, in fact, contain a piece of Voldemort. However, it's not entirely him. It's a single Horcrux. So his soul has been scattered amongst these items, and the Golden Snitch actually contains his nostrils or lack of nose. That's the piece
interesting
that
it contains.
Exactly. And that's what I mean when I'm talking about the way that that disorder can become order. You see, when Voldemort, the noseless dragon-like beast, splits off into multiple Horcruxes, horcruxi. This causes this is of course a chaotic moment because the one becomes many, but then by being consolidated in these physical forms, that's where you get order.
Right.
Do you
Yeah.
think do you think it's any coincidence that the word Horcrux has the word whore within it?
Oh, nothing is a coincidence. Certainly not that. You see, it's women, I've found, have a different interaction to Harry Potter than men do. You see, men see this and they're sent on a heroic journey, a type of monomythic experience, and it's very touching. And they find themselves on donkey islands, and they find themselves with the wooden long-nosed body of Christ, and they find themselves in the bellies of whales. Whereas when women interact with Harry Potter, well, you find that they begin to apply rouge to their cheeks, and they wear high heels at this age, and they begin to really sexualize themselves. And they view this as a replacement for their personality, as if Harry Potter is in fact a crutch of some sort, perhaps a crutch.
Well, maybe it's best I didn't get accepted into Hogwarts. I feel really lucky to have landed at the Academy of Tradwifery.
It's much better that way. I mean, so long as we have, I'm of course entirely apolitical, but so long as certain legislation manages to get through with all of the Pepes and the Tradwives who are fighting for what's right and what is traditional and what has always been part of our psyche. So long as they're fighting for the right thing and continue to fight and maintain their restaurant jobs and their roles at Target, they will eventually lead to a point where everyone is given or can be a mandatory waifu.
Exactly.
Which of course is what you're training to do. And
yes.
And as I said, do not do what you hate.
My future is contingent upon the laws that have yet to be written, so I am 100% on board with this.
Well, you see, all of these laws are written on the soul of man.
Yeah. So earlier we were talking about how the Horcrux is split into multiple pieces, and you said something that I thought was quite poignant in Rule 7, which is that Rule 7 is work as hard as you possibly can on at least one thing and see what happens. At the end of that section, that chapter, so to speak, you mentioned that if you do this, you will become one thing instead of a clamoring multitude of things. Basically, you will solve the chaos within your own soul. Is that something that you think Voldemort has maybe failed in doing by shattering his soul the way he has? Do you think?
Of course. You see, that shattering and that multiplicity. I don't know what a Deleuze is, and I'm still waiting for someone to explain it to me. But I have a feeling it has to do with multiplicities. That's what I've been informed by my Groiper friends on the 4chans. But you see, the thing that is, of course, most like Voldemort in the story Pinocchio. I'm sorry. I mixed a few of these up. They're such different stories. But in the story of Peter Pan, which is also very important to me because it's again just about boys who want to grow up, want to become real boys. And in that story, of course, there's the dire crocodile clock, the crocodile with a ticking clock in its body. And of course, that's that is what we're all afraid of, is the over application of order in our lives. And so we have to constantly toe the line between becoming a crocodile clock, a wooden boy, and a noseless dragon man.
So succinctly put, Doctor.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
that was beautiful. Speaking of beautiful, rule number 8, you go into try to make one room in your home as beautiful as possible.
Which room have you chosen, Dad?
Well, I of course, I've chosen my Soviet propaganda room.
I have seen that room, and it's quite interesting, and you use that as a reminder for what could happen if cultural Marxism was to ever take over, correct?
Of course. You see, power, when in the hands of cultural Marxists, is catastrophic. But let me remind you that the authority is not power. That authority comes from competence. You see, and that's the difference between these cultural neo-Marxists, postmodernists, and everyone else, is that they want to function off of power, whereas everyone else functions off of authority.
Right. Yeah, and continuing on rule number 8, you do admit to there was some images that were spread around, and memes associated with it, of you when you were at maybe a lower point in life, while you're dealing with all the things that you go over in the overture, and your office looks very messy, and you did the right thing, and you admitted that that was a moment of hypocrisy. And then what I thought was really brave is that you claimed that you had exceptional circumstances, and that's to say that you had circumstances that were outside of your control, that led to the office becoming that messy. And I really thought that it was brave how you acknowledged that yes, you did have a point of hypocrisy, but that it also didn't apply to you. And I thought that was really good.
Well, of course, you might remember that in the book that I wrote, Batman Beyond 12 Misgendered Disney Princesses Compelling My Speech, I of course noted that that there are, of course, I've had many clients, and all of the clients that I mentioned in this text are entirely real, and you can tell that they're all real.
They're very real people.
The stories obviously make sense, and everyone claps at the end of each of them. But one of the ones that really affects me to this day is that there was a young man, a young gay man, who came into my office, and the psychiatrist had told him he had schizophrenia. Do you remember this one?
I'm a little bit fuzzy on the details on this. Could you maybe just explain a little bit? Yeah.
Oh, of course. So he came in, and I could tell right off the bat that this was a misdiagnosis, because you see his glasses were clean.
Yeah, and schizophrenic people can't clean their glasses.
No, and so I decided to accidentally hypnotize him.
And how did you achieve that accidental hypnosis?
Well, of course, with my clients, I have them, and I will remind everyone that this oftentimes what I have said, at least in recent days, people have read as jokes or parodies almost. But I would like to tell everyone that this is 100% something that I actually wrote in this real book.
Yeah.
That this is a real thing.
This is a real conversation.
So when this young man came into my office, previously diagnosed with schizophrenia, I determined that he didn't have schizophrenia because his glasses were clean. And then I did what I always do, which is have something of a relaxation method with him, which I do with all of my clients, where I just have him bit by bit, muscle by muscle, tense and release, and do some breathing exercises. And upon doing this, I found that I had magically hypnotized the young man. And that's how I fixed him.
Yeah, and that's really a wonderful story. I'd like to keep pushing on the make one room in your home beautiful.
Oh, of course, of course.
In this particular rule, I noted that you quote some poetry, some pieces of poetry, and I'm again sad that Danko can't be here because one of the
That's poetry.
He loves poetry, and not only does he love poetry, but specifically, Dr. Peterson, you quote Walt Whitman.
Word overall, beautiful as the sky, beautiful that war and all its deeds of carnage would in time be utterly lost, that the hands of the sisters death and night incessantly and softly wash again and ever again this soiled world. I keep that in mind every night as I go to bed in my fucking filthy office after eating 4 porterhouse steaks, just reminding myself that with the cover of night, there is in fact a beauty and cleanliness that comes in forgetting. That's Walt Whitman.
That is beautiful. And I wanted
For
to
my
bring this up.
enemy is dead. For my enemy is dead. The man divine as myself is dead. I crouch toward his pale face. I kiss it. I don't remember. This is all off of memory. I'm sorry. My brain's a little foggy. I smelled some cider earlier.
Oh, you gotta get those sulfites out of your life. So, before we get too distracted, you are a little bit of a poet yourself.
There was a boy Wentworth, 4th every day, and I'm sorry.
It's okay. I understand your passion, but I would really like to bring up your poetry. You posted this on TikTok the other day, and I would like to watch it if you wouldn't mind. Just kind of appreciate it. Maybe
Dr.
talk about
Peterson, you have a TikTok?
Dr. Peterson does have a TikTok, and he so far released a song that he wrote about philosophers, which was quite beautiful. And
I can't take credit for that one. That one was, of course, by the British comedy troupe that everyone knows well, the Monty Pythons.
Oh, I thought that you had written that.
I would like to take credit, but I know my place on the dominance hierarchy.
Okay. Well, fair enough. So this is actually a piece that you did write, though, is this piece of poetry that you put up on TikTok the other day, and
is this the one that contains the word ameliorate? Because I'm careful to put that in each of my written works at least once.
This is a little bit different. This is the one about your son Tom.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and watch that real quick.
About 30 years ago that my wife Tammy just found. I have no idea what I was thinking when I wrote it. My son Tom is a madman's madman. He's so strong that the sun can't stand him. If you walk near his house in Boston, he will yell at the neighbor's snowman. He won't think if the thought would stop him. He won't work, so no job has caught him. Good old Tom is a plowman's plowman. He sings songs like a madman yells them. If you sneak near his daughter's parlor, he'll come out and his voice will scar you. So if you're ever where you're ever never supposed to be, then you better watch forever. Tom's a terror. He will come for thee. He won't comfort thee. Tom's a little bit of living horror, sure enough, for me. Maybe I wrote it for my kid.
So now that you're hearing that again, Dr. Peterson, how does that make you feel?
Well, I just like to I don't like to toot my own horn, as it were, but my readings have gotten substantially better over time.
Yeah, you have a very solemn prose when you're reading that.
Don't do what you hate.
So, there's a couple of things that I wanted to bring up in regards to the rules as well. Number 5 and 6, putting them back to back was an interesting choice, I thought, because in 5, you talk about not doing what you hate, and in that particular chapter, you decry the evils of like a corporate power structure, telling people what they can and can't say. Yeah, they're compelling speech. And then in number 6, you tell everybody to abandon ideology, and that they should not fight the hierarchical structures that exist.
Well, you see, something I'm also careful to note in the book is that the thing that's most important about the stories from the Bible is that they can't be improved upon.
Absolutely, of course.
You see, which of course is why Pinocchio is such an interesting representation of Christ, because in many ways it is so much more effective. But that's a different topic perhaps. But you see, hierarchies, dominance hierarchies, they're established and representative of peace. You see, because when
Correct,
there's chaos, there are no hierarchies. But when there's peace, everything is a great chain that works from top to bottom, and everything's in its place. And you see, what is God, Michael? You see, God is good, and so God is good. Goodness, godness, godliness, goodliness. You see, and power, or of course, in this setting, it's not just power; it's authority, because authority is hierarchy. God is good. God is authority. Authority is good. And action, perception, taming the chaos. Marduk is in the bones of a mammoth. You see, Tiamat, her blood is becoming people, and all of this. What this means really is that hierarchies are justified ultimately because they mean peace. And if we follow these biblical mythic hierarchies that are established for us beforehand, we will be freed from what we hate by understanding that everything is good and exists where it should exist, and it will allow us it will allow us to abandon ideology.
Yeah, I think I followed that. You've got a lot of really high level ideas that I think, I haven't fully been able
Marduk
to.
in the bones of dragons. If Marduk lives in the bones of a dragon, then of course he's not hiding unwanted things in the fog. He's living in their belly, just like Pinocchio lived in the belly of the whale.
Yeah, and it's interesting because Pinocchio isn't the only Christ-like figure that you reference in the book. The other Christ-like figure you mention is Iron Man from the Avengers series of movies.
Of course.
Quite a fan of pop culture, aren't we?
Well, of course, it's these ancient stories, which are perfect as they are, need to be re-represented in a modern lens for young men to process them.
How would you modernize, say, something like Iron Man?
Well, Iron Man is simply the modernization of the stories of Moses, Noah, and Christ all together in one. It doesn't need modernization. It's, in fact, it's a tale coming from the future. You see, I've been looking into this young man, Nicholas Land, and it seems to be that everything that occurs is occurring because of Chinese future.
And you're concerned about a Chinese future, I imagine?
Well, let's just say that the PC culture has made it so that we can no longer use the word flip book because they think that it's a slur against Filipinos.
Right, because I don't mean this to offend anybody, perhaps, but flip is a slur for Filipino people.
Right.
And so
right.
when you have a flip book, it's a reference to that slur. And
You're
that's
not
what you
allowed to
go
say
over.
black book anymore.
Yeah, nobody's allowed to say black book. Nobody's legally allowed to say black book, which is.
But you see these flip charts. You're not allowed to refer to them as such because, of course, the Chinese future.
Of course, yeah, and they're trying to control everything because they're Marxists.
But postmodern neo-Marxists.
Well, the worst kind of Marxists, of course.
Deebs, maybe you can tell us what you got out of Dr. Peterson's most recent work.
Yeah. So what I seem to have gathered is that we are simultaneously, and this is perhaps paradoxical, but I think it's meant to be because all things in life are paradoxical. We are supposed to respect hierarchies unless those hierarchies are making us do unjust things, and then we should not respect those hierarchies. But we should never become resentful to other people based off of their class or position or being successful.
I'm going to stop you right there. Do you feel like you have become resentful of Dorian for toying with the idea of joining a union against Benzo Rehab Dungeon?
Yeah, and that's something that's why I'm particularly disappointed in this, because Dorian seems to have read this text in an adversarial context, whereas I wholeheartedly consumed it and absorbed it into my being, so that I can tame the chaos within me. And Dorian has obviously had an opposite effect, and maybe if he made it all the way to Rule 11, he would have maintained course and realized the wisdom that Dr. Peterson is sharing with us.
I really hope he's doing okay. He didn't sound so good in that voicemail from what I could make of it.
Yeah, well, yeah, he did say that he was curled up in some blankets. So obviously, I'm sure his room isn't clean. Number one.
See, if this is why we need government mandated trad wives to keep the rooms clean, so that the men can focus on
slaying dragons.
Doing it is what the men folk do.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't expect you to know what the men are supposed to do. The men are supposed to slay dragons. They're supposed to.
See, if I'd gone to Hogwarts, I would have maybe learned more about this. But
yeah, but it's better. I think we all agree that you didn't go to Hogwarts. But yeah, men are supposed to. Men are the heroes of every story, every individual story.
Of course, men, of course, are the heroes. But another rule that I set out in here, kind of a sub rule, is that I make it clear that responsibility will make you happy.
That is true. Yes,
it comes from an old German quote, I believe. I don't think that I reference it in the text proper, but it's Arbeit macht frei.
I've heard that one, and then that's German for "work will make you free," correct?
Exactly. Yeah.
I can't remember where I saw that quote, and for some reason I'm picturing like a gate and like a black and white photograph.
Well, I also think I saw it recently in the news cycle, maybe a couple months ago.
Yeah.
On like a sweater.
Right. You see, a lot of people are very upset right now, and we need to listen to them. And they're taking these old mythic formations of language and symbology and taking them back for their own uses. And it's very important for young men to do that. You see, I define order as a setup wherein you get what you want and expect. And I've been called. I'm not sure what the phrase means. I think it may be Pepe adjacent, which I'm still, of course, confused by. But I've been referred to as a piss baby for believing that order is getting what one wants. But I would just say that everything else, of course, is chaos. And so the only way for us to maintain order is to take symbols and phrases from the past, like our bite macht frei, and to retain and reuse them as often as possible.
And I will say that it is notable, that males, they seek this order and chaos.
Unlike Marxists who want things to be chaos.
Your voice kind of shifted a little bit there, Dr. Peterson. Are you doing okay? Do you need to take a break or anything?
I'm fine.
Okay, good. Yeah, now you're back to the standard. Shoot, I was gonna say. Oh, okay. So what I was saying was that that males seek this order out, and the order is getting what you want, right? Getting what you desire is a factor of order, and then not getting what you want is chaos, and chaos is heavily associated with the feminine. Do you think that says anything about society today?
Well, it shows us that that power is pro-social. You see, that by having power, we're able to help those around us. And so, of course, as you say it in a certain gendered way, and gender is, of course, very important here because we need to retain the certain binary. If you allow, you see, Megan, if you allow your future husband, possibly from China, to have the power in the relationship, that will make you happier in the sense that you will experience less chaos of your own. But you see, it's very difficult, and I make a note of this as well, for information to move upward in dominance hierarchy, which is to say that there's no point in trying to speak to your husband or to your daddy. Just let it go and know that they're in a position of power because they have authority, because they have competence, which is stored in the balls.
What is your position, Dr. Peterson, Dad, if in this position I simply implode on my own chaos? Would you recommend benzos or possibly ACV so that I can, sort of contain it and also manage to survive without burdening my husband with my own emotions and inner turmoil?
Well, when I realized that my own benzodiazepine use was going to be an issue, and that I was perhaps being unfair to my family, I just used ketamine.
That is how you try to wean yourself off of benzos.
It is.
Was it medical grade ketamine or street ketamine?
Of course. Well, you see, I am
intravenous
higher in intravenous, and of course I was able to access this because I'm higher in the competence hierarchy. You see, people who are lower on these hierarchies are not nearly as stressed as people who are higher up, and so it's less likely for them to run into problems like drug addiction.
Yeah, famously, I've seen that statistic that shows that
Rush Limbaugh.
What about Rush Limbaugh?
Very high on the dominance hierarchy.
Oh, yeah, and obviously
with,
dealing with all that stress, he had to what was it? It was cocaine, right?
Cocaine, oxycodone, prostitutes, possibly minors, Prince Philip. I don't know what else he did, but cigars. You see, Freud has I'm sorry, I feel like I'm interrupting you.
No, please go on. I'm interested in hearing your take on Freud, because you seem to be a scholar of both Freud and Carl Jung. Is that correct? Yeah.
The deep psychology is very important to me. You see, I saw that Megan was trying to say something for a second there, but of course I will not pause to let her speak, because I am.
Oh, I thought you were talking about interrupting me.
But when it comes to Freud, you see, Freud is wrong about a few things, specifically two things, and only really two things. The first of which is he believes that oh God, I've forgotten everything.
Oh,
Dr. Peterson, you for a moment ago mentioned Rush Limbaugh's proclivity for hiring prostitutes. What would you say is the difference between trad wives and sex workers? What are the primary differences, would you say?
Well, it depends how many you have at a time.
Sex workers or wives?
Both.
Yeah, I think he means both. Yeah.
Okay.
Because so long as it is monogamous in the moment, it really one is the same as the other. What I'm saying is you need to make babies.
Of course,
okay.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, you know, as my father always used to say, one way or another, you're paying for it, right?
Your dad sounded like a smart man.
Yeah, he was a very smart man, and I cherish him greatly, because I, as a young man, realized the importance of hierarchical structure, and the patriarchy is, of course, the natural state of hierarchy.
I, for one, feel really grateful to be blessed with your presence on this show. I wasn't expecting you as a guest at all, Dr. Peterson. So I was quite surprised. And you know, it wasn't long ago that I decided to check on you as in the news, because I hadn't heard anything from you or about you in quite some time. And it wasn't until I was made aware that you recently wrote this updated sequel to your last book. But I still could only see news articles and the Twitter feed of your daughter, Michaela. And I wasn't seeing much about you. So I was wondering how you have been recovering from your coma. So I'm happy to see that you're engaging with the youth in social media and on TikTok. That sounds like a really good idea. And I just wanted to sort of get an update about how you've been acclimating back to society after being comatose.
Of course. Well, a few things. First off would be that, of course, I bring up media pretty frequently. And one bit of contemporary pop culture that I think explains very well my experience with acclimating into the world is Weekend at Bernie's. And what I mean by that is that my daughter and the demon that lives within her partner have both been absolutely instrumental in my reintegration with society.
I'm sorry, did you just refer to your daughter's partner as having a demon inside him?
Yeah, yes, of course.
Do
A Russian demon.
Do all men have demons, or just
most men
scam
have
artists?
dragons. Most men have dragons. He has a demon.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember the name of the demon.
Something extremely Russian, I think.
Yeah.
Alexei.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Tarkovsky.
I think it is Alexei is the demon.
But you see,
charming demon.
Freud. It came back to me. It came back to me. You see, the two problems with Freud is that Freud he seems to believe that the only types of trauma we can have are traumas that we remember.
Right, and we can have traumas that we don't remember, which is what you may have experienced when you were in the coma, correct?
Exactly. And so that's been challenging for me. But additionally, he seems to believe that there are only sins of commission that we can feel bad about. When I think that sometimes we can do wrong by not doing the right thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I forget the old adage, but it's something to the effect of, "There's no greater evil than good men who won't act." Right.
Right. And which, of course, it's too in the weeds. Never mind. But but you see, I believe that we're living in a hyper real culture, which I do note in the book. You see, and which has nothing to do with postmodernism, by the way.
Of course not. No.
You see, postmodernism is this belief that everyone lives in their individual kind of world and everything is totally subjective. Whereas my claim is that we live in a hyper reality where everything that everyone experiences is managed through symbols and is entirely subjective.
Yeah, which is completely different than an individualistic view of experience. Yeah. I was going to say, so you believe that you can experience traumas that you don't remember.
Unlike Freud does not believe that, and I'm very careful to note that in the book.
Right, and I
Freud
think we
does
both
not
agree.
believe in traumas that you have not processed. That is not the cornerstone of psychoanalysis.
So when you have a trauma that you haven't processed or you can't remember, how do you deal with that trauma?
By having weird fucking dreams of brushing your grandmother's pubic hair and dogs walking on their hind legs.
And when I recall this is from Maps of Meaning, I believe, the story about you having a dream where you saw your grandmother naked.
You know what she asked me? You know what she asked me as I brushed her pubic hair?
Yeah, in the dream.
Is it soft?
She asked me,
is it soft?
And
I
you
said,
replied, yes.
I said, yes, grandmother.
Yes,
it is soft. It's very soft. I wasn't quite as adamant, but now I feel impassioned.
And again, I would like to commend your bravery, because if I had a
like
dream,
a bunny rabbit.
I had a dream where
those have gotten out of vogue. I think we should bring them back.
Bunny rabbits?
No, pubic hair.
Oh, pubic hair. Yeah,
Bushes.
well, I think maybe
Never
for
mind,
men.
I think they're back in vogue. Never mind. I think they came back.
Yeah. They kind of cycle in and out.
I wouldn't know. I'm a monogamous man. I gave a lot of fantastic relationship advice in this book, by the way.
Yeah, I really wanted to know where you first off, again, I would just like to say that it's very brave. If I had a dream where I brushed my grandmother's pubic hair, I probably wouldn't tell anybody about it. But you came out there and you broadcast that to everybody who read Maps of Meaning, and I think that's really important that you had that humility and sense of purpose in order to bring that to everyone's attention. That you had a dream where dogs were walking on their hind legs, and also a dream where you brushed your grandmother's pussy hair.
If you're not
colloquially
having
speaking.
sex with your partner at least 3 times a week, there is a problem.
Right. So the 10th
I don't
rule-
know why that entered into my mind when you were talking about that story, but it just popped up.
The 10th rule that you have is or sorry. Oh, I may have Oh, no. It is the 10th rule. It's plan and work diligently to maintain the romance in your relationship. Where did you come up with that idea? This is the first time I've heard this, and it's really kind of a revolutionary thought, and I'm curious about where you came up with that.
Well, I've been married for quite some time, and I'll just say that I'm a little over dedicated to my work sometimes. And though I have a beautiful trad wife, I'm sometimes not as committed to her as I can be.
What's her name?
I don't remember.
I believe it's Tammy.
Michaela.
Oh no, that's your daughter.
Michaela Peterson.
No, that's your daughter.
Alexi Peterson.
That's your daughter's demon.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Partner.
I'm still a little foggy. What's
Well,
my
we have to
wife's
make
name?
sure not to hide things in the fog. So
Yeah.
If old memories still upset you, write them down carefully and completely.
Right, we covered that. 2 questions, Dr. Peterson. The first is, with young men being so disillusioned about what it means to be a man in the 21st century, what advice would you give them? And the second question is, what sort of brush was it that you used to brush your grandmother's pubic hair?
Well, you see, the advice that I would give to young men would be different from the advice I give to Freud men. To young men, I would say be grateful in spite of your suffering, and to Freud men, I would say be grateful in spite of your suffering.
Wow, the same set of advice.
Messages.
And of course, it was what they call a natural brush,
like a boar bristle.
I have one of those for my beard, and it's very good at straightening out.
What about the handle? Was it a wooden handle, or I sort of imagined a silver handle, but I don't want to be presumptuous.
All I remember really is the feeling of my fingers against the hair that stuck out to the sides, and just recognizing how incredibly soft it was. Is that whipped cream?
Well, I think that's a good note to maybe leave this. It's usually best to leave all things on a grandmother's pubic hair. Do you have any last thoughts? And I will note that your advice to Freudian men and Jungian men is rule number 12, which is sorry, I didn't write this one down. Rule number 12, be grateful in spite of your suffering. I wanted to make sure I got your wording right, because you're very particular about your wording, I think.
I am.
Yeah.
I would like to end it with a few short points, which is that we live in a society.
Indeed we do.
Not all solutions are good solutions. We need to agree on words. Boys and girls exist. Not everyone is an expert. Some people are the boss. Everything is a game. Rats are people. Lobsters
Are
people. Hard to move up hierarchies, but authority is goodness. And Pinocchio Christ is the only way that any of us will experience the love of our fathers. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for joining us, Dr. Peterson. Again, the book is Beyond Order, 12 More Rules for Life. It is the sequel to 12 Rules for Life, An Antidote to Chaos, I believe is the title there. Dr. Peterson, a pleasure. Thank you for joining us, and
thank you so much, Dad.
yes, hopefully we can have you on the show again. Megan may be my co-host from now on. I'm not sure.
I'm
Oh,
not
Jesus
really looking
Christ,
to get into
guys.
anything serious.
Guys, are you there? Are
Dorian,
you there?
Dorian, hi.
can you hear us,
I-
Dorian?
I
How are
hacked
you
the
doing
signal.
there, buddy?
I got
you
in.
doing okay?
I've done something terrible.
What
Yeah,
is it?
you quit the
I-
show, man.
We can talk about that later, maybe on the next episode. Mike, I've finished the book. I finished the book, and we need to talk about it next week. We need to make sense of this thing, because I've got some bombshells, man. And I'm here in his house. I'm here in his house. I'm in the basement. I hacked into the line, and he's gonna find me as soon as he wakes up. I spiked his drink with cider, his beef juice. I spiked it with cider, and he's out good right now. But
I think cider has the opposite effect on him. He said that he stayed awake for 25 days.
Are you serious?
Yeah, you might want to get out of there, man.
Oh my God! Nothing in this book makes sense. Everything is contradictory. I'm so confused.
I don't know. It sounded like it makes perfect sense to me. I haven't even read it.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! But anyway, so I'm down here in the basement. I'm gonna try to be quick. All I know is that there are hundreds of flip books down here.
Oh my God.
And charts, and they're maps of dragons and what look like patches of pubic hair, and I don't know what's happening, but I'm scared. And oh my God.
What is
my
it?
God.
What is it?
Buckle! Buckle!
Well, we'll still have to sort out why you quit the show. Anyways, I think that's it for this week. Thank you for joining me, Megan.
Anytime.
I believe I owe you 150 per the agreement that we had. Anyways,
Yes,
we'll work that out on the
perfect.
back end. Her Instagram handle is at Let's Meg Magick. It's a little play on words there. I am of course at Benzo Rehab Dungeon. I won't plug Danko's work because Danko quit the show, and I think he might have been killed by Jordan Peterson. So we will see you all next time. Thank you for listening. Please take my medicine or your medicine. I'm getting the lines mixed up now. Yeah. All right, and that's hi, Michael Deebs here, with no gun pointed at my head. Please know that all content created for the Benzo Rehab Dungeon is and always will be freely available. However, if you would like to support this creation of content, we here at Camp Benzo would appreciate it, as the production itself is not free of cost. Anything donated will go to covering the various subscription fees maintained for content production or improving and expanding the content produced. If you are able to, please head on over to patreon.com/BenzoRehabDungeon. We also have shirts for sale on Teespring, all priced as low as we can get them without turning much or any profit. They are mostly so that you can show your loved ones that a necessary intervention may be on the horizon. Links to the merchandise storefront and our various social media profiles can be found on our link tree, which is the word linktr.ee/BenzoRehabDungeon. As always, we love you. Please take your medicine.